Hi Angela, good to see you. Hi Jocelyn, so lovely to see you here. Hi Jackie, good to see you made it at 1 today. Good job. Hi Lucy, nice to see you this week too. It was lovely to see you come in the shop. Mike, Jocelyn wants a big coffee, please. Hi Rabina. Oh, I'm so glad you got your instructions. He had a bit of trouble sending those today. Sorry about that. Okay, we'll get started now. So this is our card for this week. So it's a huge one that folds out all over the place. So we've got a few different panels going on here. So when it stands up, you sort of have a bit of a look like that to it. Now, this one also has a little bookmark with it. So we're going to show you how to do this little bookmark. What it does is that you've probably seen them before. So if you've got a book and you're just reading something, you can pop it in the corner here and it will keep your place like that. So that's how your bookmark works. So that one just sort of slips on the corner of your card there, and that's like a little gift to give somebody if they love books. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So if you can grab your 12 by 12 white cardstock, we're just going to cut that border off again there so it makes it a proper 12 by 12. So grab your trimmer, cut the border off. And then we are going to cut that to measure 5.5 by 8.5. So bring it right across to 5.5 first. Trim down there. Oh, okay, Lucy, I'll let Mike know that you didn't get your instructions. Sorry about that. Okay, so sorry about that. I was just reading my comments. 5.5 by 8.5. So there's our 5.5. We flip it around to go to 8.5. Now, if you have one of these trimmer boards, then we're just going to leave it there. Grab the little stylus at the bottom here. So we want the long side at the top of your trimmer or your scoreboard, and we're going to score it at 2 1/8. So if you've got a board like this, we've got our 2 here, and then the one right next to it is the 1/8. So we're going to go from 2 to 2 1/8. So we're just going to score down there. So 2 1/8, and then we're going to come right across to 4 1/4. So you've got 2 score lines there. So you've got one panel here now, and you've got another panel there. So what I want you to do is we're just going to turn it around this way now. So you've got your 2 small panels on the left-hand side, and we're just going to do a mountain fold. So we're going to fold that score line so it's a peak. So that's what we call a mountain fold. So the reason it's a mountain fold is because we're going up into a peak. So fold that back as a mountain fold, and then we're going to do a valley fold. So a valley fold is just folding it in, so it's in a valley. Sorry, you can't see very well. So it's in a valley there. So those are mountain and valley folds. So mountain is a peak coming. Hang on, I've got to try and sort this out. So the peak is there, which is your mountain, and then you've got a valley, which is here. Okay, so we're just going to pop that one aside, and we'll go on to the next piece. So the next piece of your white card, you want to cut down to 3 by 11 inches. So bring it to 3 first. Turn it around so your long side is at the top, and we're going to cut that to 11 inches. There we go. Now if you do have a trimmer scoreboard like this, it just pays to turn this over so that you've got that little lip there to catch your paper up against so it doesn't move. So we want to keep the long side at the top, and we want to score this one at 1 7/8. So here's our 1, and we're going to go all the way across to 7/8. So it's just 1 mark underneath the 2 inch. So 1 7/8, 3 3/4. So bring it right across to 3 3/4. 8 inches, so all the way across to 8. Yeah, yes they are, Jackie. I've got a very special friend. A big shout out to Angela for bringing me some nice new blades to use. Okay, so we've got 1 7/8 here, 3 3/4, 8, and our last one is going to be 10 1/8. So that's 10, 1 mark past the 10. Okay, so you will have, can't see very well in this light, but you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little panels there. Right, so we're going to start doing our mountain and valley folds. So I'll go through that with you. So you will have your little tiny flap here. So that one, sorry, we're going to turn it right around this way. So you've got your little flap on the right hand side. So that one's going to be a valley fold. So we're going to fold that up into a valley like that. And your next one is going to be a mountain fold. So you're going to bring it down into a mountain. So here's our valley and here's our mountain. Next one's going to be a valley fold again. So down again like that. And the next one's going to be a mountain fold. So basically you're concertinaing it. So valley fold, mountain, valley, mountain. So basically when you fold it together, it's all just going to sort of concertina down on itself like that. So just grab your bone folder if you've got one and just score down onto those score lines really well, just so that it sits nice and flat. Awesome, well done guys. Right, so now we have our 2 pieces here. So we're just going to put those 2 together now. So this little flap that you have here, this is like your little sticking down flap. We actually want to stick it to this side here. So we're going to fold that one back and have it underneath there like that. Just going to scroll that down a bit more. Okay, so just again, we're going to fold this one underneath and have it lying flat. So now you can only see 2 panels. So this skinny short one there and this bigger one on this side. And then we, on the back of this little flap, we're going to put a little bit of glue or tape on there. I'm just going to use a bit of tape. So if you want to pop that down on there now. So I'm going to put a couple of strips on there just to make sure it's going to stay in place, because this is going to move, open and shut quite a lot. So this little flap here now is going to stick onto that panel at the bottom. So I'm just going to peel that off and I'll give you a close-up look in a moment. Okay, so that flap there is just going to glue down to the very bottom there, so that it's nice and lined up with that side and down the bottom. So now you'll have a card that looks like this. So you've got all these little folds and flaps. So that's basically your card base done. Now comes the fun part of just decorating. So you've got in your pack these, you've got like one sheet of that and then another sheet, half a sheet of that. Now you won't need all of these. It's a bit better. You won't need all of this, so you could possibly even get another card out of using these two. We just wanted to give you a little bit of an extra thing there since there wasn't a huge amount in the kit. So I've cut my paper so that my slab wall, my boards are horizontal. So I'm cutting them so that my boards are going this way. You can cut them so they're going up and down there, or you can do them that way. I preferred it this way. I just found it gives you a bit more colour and stuff on there. So we're just going to cover this first panel here. So it just needs to be a little bit smaller, so you've got a little bit of a border showing around there. So if you just give me a second, I will give you a measurement for that. So that piece, sorry, I'm just going to cut this edge off here just to make sure I don't, so I can put that aside and use it for something a bit later. So it's got nice words on there, so use that for something later. Alright, so this one here will measure 4 1/8. So I'm going to cut all the way down at 4 1/8, so it's just one mark past your 4. Then I'm going to turn it round, so your longer side is at the top, and we're going to cut that to 5 1/4. So that piece there will fit onto this panel here. So you can go ahead and stick that down if you like. So that's just going to be a little bit smaller than your card base. So go ahead and put some tape or glue on the back of that and pop that one down on this big panel here. Don't forget, if I'm going too fast, please just let me know in the comments and I will slow down. You want a long black coffee, Lucy? It'll be nice when we can all get back to classes again. I'm hoping it's not going to be very far away at all. We just sort of, because our classroom's not all that big, it's a bit hard to keep everyone a metre apart. So very, very soon. So I'm going to be looking very forward to it. Okay, so that panel has gone onto that panel there. So the next one we want to do is cover up this piece here. So we're going to cut another piece to go down there. So I'm just going to give you a measurement for that. So a little bit of leftover paper that I've got. And that's going to measure, let's have a look. So that'll measure about 1 7/8 by 5 1/4. So what was it? 1 7/8 by 5 1/4. So that one can go in the center there. So if you want to pop some tape on there, if you want to pop some tape or glue on there, you can go ahead and do that. So that one's going to go down on that panel there, and we're just going to hide this little bit that we've stuck together there. Beautiful. Okay, so we're just going to carry on and we're just going to start covering all of these plus that one there. So we're not doing anything on the back, we're just doing all the panels across here. So I'm going to do this next little one next, just so that, because I've just got a piece left over. So I'm just going to make that one a little bit smaller again, so I'll give you a measurement for that too. So that one will measure, oops, 2 3/4 by 2 inches. So 2 3/4 by 2 inches. And I'm going to pop that one onto this panel here. I agree, Angela. Alright, so that one's just going to go on that next panel there. So our next one to do is this longer panel here. So I'm just going to measure that one up for you. Okay, so that one will measure about 4 1/8. So I'm just going to cut down there. So 4 1/8 by, let's find my pencil line again now. Oh, there it is. So 4 1/8 by about 2 3/4. So I'm just going to pop some tape on there and pop it onto this panel here, so it's going to fit nicely onto there. Here we go. Alright, that one's going to go on that larger panel in the middle there. Perfect. Okay, so just 3 more little ones to go. So we're going to do this little panel here, that one there, and that one will measure, I'll just get my pencil. Okay, so that one there will measure 1 3/4. So cut 1 3/4. And we're going to flip it around. I just need to find where it was. There it is. So 1 3/4 by 2 3/4. So we'll do 2 of those. So 2 pieces measuring 1 3/4 by 2 3/4. Perfect. So those 2 pieces there are going to go on these 2 panels. So go ahead and put some tape or glue on there and just pop those down onto there. There you go. Alright, so that one is going to go down here onto that panel, and then that one is going to go onto that panel there, and then we just have this one here to do. So you've got plenty of that card, that paper left over to do another one if you want it. Okay. Okay. So that last one, that little panel there. Great. So now we're just going to flip that backwards now, and we're just going to do one last panel there. So you should have some leftover bits and pieces. Let me see if this one, hopefully this one will fit. Yep. So you should have a strip like that. So we're just going to make that one a wee bit smaller, and I'll give you the measurement for that. It is, okay, so the first measurement I'll give you will be this way. So that's 5 1/4. So 5 1/4 by 2 inches. So 5 1/4 by 2 inches. And that one is going to go onto that panel there, like that. I might turn that one up that way. Lines up a wee bit better. So go and stick that one down. Okay, so I'm just going to take the backing off my tape. And just pop that one down on that last long one there. So don't forget, we've got, that's the front of our card there. We're going to flip all that backwards, and we're going to pop that one on that long panel there. There we go. Okay, so if we close all this up now, That's how your card is going to fold. So you've got all these little zigzag looks to it. So it's basically a concertina fold. So back, forward, back, forward, back, forward, and so on. Okay, so that's our card base. So I'm just going to pop that aside now. So you should have about this much left over of your paper. So we need to get a 4x4 piece out of this one a bit later. So we'll just carry on with the rest of it. So what I've got you to do is, hopefully you've cut your bits and pieces out. So I think there were 5 pieces to do. So we've got those ones there, and this was on the back of your sheet. So that was the back sheet there. So we've got the 4 flowers and the little frame there. So we're going to go and do the frame first. So I'll put those aside. Now what I'm going to do is I wanted to have mine so that it looked like it was a hanging picture. So I've just put a bit of foam tape on the back of this piece here. So grab some foam tape and grab your twine out of your little bag there. Need to find my scissors. There they are. Okay, so I'm just going to put it right across the top there so I don't see it. So it's just between those two there, so that when I pop my twine on, I'm just going to stick it to that foam tape there. So you don't need too much, so just take the backing off. And we're just going to stick that into on a tiny bit of an angle, so it's going to face up like that. And then I'm just going to put my finger on the top where I want it to finish going, and then I'm going to bring it back down along there as well. Okay, so that'll give you a nice frame hanger there. I'm just going to cut that piece off there. Here we go. So now we can go ahead and put foam tape around the rest of the outside there. It's just quite an easy way to get your twine on there and not have to do too much measuring. Bit along that one. Here we go. And one more along the bottom there. I'm not going to bother putting anything in the middle there just because it's quite small. It's not going to bend too badly in the middle there. If you had a bigger piece, then I would definitely put a piece in the middle there. So take the backing off that, and then we're going to open our card right up to that big back panel there. And we're just going to pop that down in the middle there. Okay, so that one just going to pop down there. There we go. Okay, so, oh heck. Oh, there's a little brad in your pack there. Sorry, I thought Mum had actually forgotten that, but she hasn't. So I'm just going to grab my little brad out. There we go. And I'm just going to grab a pencil. And I'm just going to push it up and make a pencil mark where I want my brad to go. Okay, so I'm just going to push my brad through there. If you have a pokey tool, that would be easier to get the hole. You only need a little hole, so you just want to be able to make it small enough to get your brad through. So we're just going to pull it up and pop it through the hole there. And turn it over, and we're going to pull the pins back on the back. Now, if you don't want to see the pins on the back, then I would just do it behind this pattern paper, but I wasn't too fussed about it because nobody's going to really flip it over too much like that. Now, this piece here, I wanted to make it so I could do some writing on there. So I'm going to just cut, there's a piece of cardstock left over, and you've got more in your kit as well. So I'm just going to cut this one. What does that measure? Let's have a look. So that's going to measure 1 3/4 by 5. So if you want to go ahead and cut a piece of your white to 1 3/4 by 5, and we'll pop that down there, and that's where you can do your writing. So 5 and 1 3/4. I'm getting a lovely mess here today. Alright, so that piece there is going to go next to your frame piece. So that's where you'll do your writing. You can zhuzh it up a bit with some flowers or anything else that you can cut out on your cutout sheet there. Our new Minte papers, which are beautiful. Here we go. And that one's just going to go down there. There we go. So that one's just going to go down there. Beautiful. Okay, so now we've done that flower frame there, the big flower that you've got there, I wanted to put some foam tape on the back there, and I've just got it coming down a little bit to the bottom right hand side, just so we can see a bit more of that frame there. So if you want to put some tape behind there, some foam tape behind there, you don't need a huge amount because we're only just sort of sticking down a little bit of it. Here we go. And I'm just going to put a tiny little bit on those two little pieces there, just so they don't flop all over the place and get damaged. There we go. So just another one on there. Got another little piece here which I'll pop on this one there. Okay, so that one there is just going to go down on that bottom right hand corner of your frame. Here we go. So bottom right hand corner there. And that gives you a really lovely 3D look to it. Great. So we've done that panel, we've done that panel. We're going to do this panel next, which is this one here. So this one that we cut out earlier, it's just a part of, there was one with a bunny basket on it, I think, that we've cut that curved bit from. I'm just going to pop it there. I might just cut these little pieces off because they're sticking out just a wee bit much for my liking. So if you just want to glue or tape that down there, that's great. There we go. Let's just pop that one down on the bottom of that slightly large panel here. Awesome. Okay, so we're going to do this front panel now. So out of your leftover white cardstock, I want you to cut a piece that measures 2.5 by 3 3/4. So a piece of white paper measuring 2.5 by 3 3/4. So 2.5 by 3 3/4. Okay, so we want to put another piece of our wood paneling onto there. So if you want to just cut down a piece, where's my paneling gone? There it is. Okay, so this piece here, I'm just going to make it a little bit smaller. I usually take like 1/8 of an inch off my first measurement. Like if my paper here is 2 inches, I would take it down to 1 7/8 of an inch. So I'm just taking off about 1/8 of an inch, which gives you quite a nice little border around there. So that one will measure 2 1/4 by about 3 1/2. So that piece is just going to go onto there like that. So go ahead and stick that down there. Just move my trimmer out of the way. There we go. Okay, so pop that onto there in the middle. Now we're going to close our card up completely so it's nice and flat like that, and we're going to pop this panel onto there. So I want it to be in the middle of this entire piece at the front there. So I'm just going to put a bit of tape on the back about there so that it does not stick down to this one. So you only want enough tape to cover here on the back, because we don't want it to stick to the other panels in front of it. Oh, sorry, behind it. So that's just enough to stick onto there like that. There we go. So just fold it flat and just sort of eyeball it in the center of the entire panel at the front here, like that. Okay, so just make sure it's not stuck down here, just that it's just stuck onto that piece there. Awesome. Okay, so now we're going to bring in our daffodil vase, And I'm going to put some foam tape just on the bottom of the vase there. So I just want it to stick onto the bottom piece there. So no foam tape at the top, just on the vase in the back there. So I'm just going to put another one there as well. Okay, so we're just going to pop that onto that front panel on the side there. There we go. So we don't want this bit here stuck down because we don't want it sticking to anything at the back. Okay, awesome. Right, now in your kit you'll have, let me just check, I've got such a mess here. You should have a piece of paper with some stamping on it, this one here. Now, this is one stamp that I got from Rubber Dubber Doo. I'm pretty sure they still make it. I think they have really amazing stuff. So there's a lot of different happy birthdays on there. If you want to choose one of those, I chose that one there. So I'm just going to cut that out. And if you're very careful, you can do it so that you cut it nicely so you can use the rest of them. So I'm just going to cut that piece out, and you can use these other bits for another one. It's actually a really versatile little stamp, actually. Hi Tanya, it's lovely to see you here. Okay, so you can use those for something on another card there. So I'm just going to cut these two apart there. And I'm just going to use one to go a little bit there and one to go there. So just pop some tape on the back of those and we'll pop that on the front there. Or glue, whichever you prefer. Okay, so I'm just tucking it just a little bit underneath the vase, just so you can't see that sharp edge along there. You don't need to put this on if you don't want a happy birthday. If you've got another stamp you want to do, go for it. I haven't cut that very straight, have I? Yeah, that'll do. There we go. And then just pop that under there. Now, what I did with my little beads, so these little beads here, to get them positioned, all I did is laid it flat, and I just grabbed my beads off there and I just sprinkled them over. Just so wherever they land is where you're going to put a bit of glue and pop them on like that. So you're not having to think about it too much. Okay, so I'm just going to sprinkle them down. If they move, they move. There you go. And I'm just going to put a little bit of dollop of glue underneath each one. So just where I've got them sticking, just a bit of glue. Stick it down. Glue. Stick it down. If you find this a bit difficult, then just put a bit of glue wherever you want and then just pop them down from there. I just find sometimes if you sprinkle them, it just sort of helps not overthink things too much. Because if you're anything like me, I just try and position everything perfectly and it doesn't always work and I get frustrated. So I just find sometimes sprinkling is a little bit easier than just trying to position everything in the right place. There we go. Alright, so I just might put a few dots around here just to pop some on what look like inside my little jar there. So you should have plenty to do this with. So I might just do a big dollop of glue all along there just so that we've got some sticking into our little jar. They're going everywhere. Awesome. So you can fiddle around with that a bit more later if you want to. I'm sort of just throwing them on there. I'm not really thinking about anything. Okay, so those are my little beads on there. So I've got some in my jar. I've got some along there just to give it a bit of texture to it. Now, in your kit also, you will have a little arrow, which is this one here. What I want you to do is grab your twine, and we're just going to wrap. So you have a little bit left over here, and we're just going to wrap it around the middle of your arrow a few times. like that, and then we're just going to tie that into a knot. No bows today. There we go. So I'm just going to tie that into a knot again. So wrap it around a few times, just tie it into a knot, and then we're just going to cut that off a little bit. So you've got tons and tons of that left over to do another one with. So now we've just got our little arrow. So I'm just going to close my card up, and I'm just going to pop that onto the bottom there, just to give it another little element of surprise, really. Here we go. So you can pop that anywhere along there if you like. Here we go. So it just gives it something a little bit different to see on the front there. Okay, so that is the card done. Now we're going to get on to doing our little bookmark now. So we're going to make this. So if you want to grab your pattern paper, your wooden pattern paper there, we're going to cut this to 4 by 4 inches. So you can do the 4 inches first. That way, and then I'm going to do it this way so that we've got that other paper left over there. So 4 by 4. Okay, so have we got that, everybody? Alright, so when you've got that, I want you to fold it, so you hold it like it's a diamond, and then we're going to fold it from point to point. And give that a good crease down there. So grab a bone folder if you've got one and just give it a really good burnish down there, just so it's nice and crisp. Okay, so we should have a triangle like that. So we're going to open this up, and we're going to fold, sorry, what am I doing? Oh, sorry, yes, that's right. We're going to fold this point up to that point there. Sorry, I was miles away there. Okay, so one of these points here is going to go right up to that point there. So fold that right up there. Give it a good burnish down again. And that last point here, we're going to fold right up into the center again like that. So you end up with like a little square again. So just burnish that down nice and tight. Just like that. So we're going to open those out now. And now this, just one of these points, so just pull them apart. One of those points is going to go right down to the very bottom down there. So you've got a nice triangle in the middle there. So you've got the 2 points on the right and left hand side. You've got a point at the top. You've got half of your sheet coming down the front. Now this piece here is just going to tuck in behind there. So just tuck it in behind there. And then just burnish that down too, so it's nice and tight along there. And then this other side is going to fold up, and it's going to tuck in behind there as well. Here we go. And there's your little bookmark. Pretty easy. Okay, so your bookmark's going to be that way up, so we just want to make sure that we've got that up the right way. Now, I have cut out this little piece here. I'm just going to pop that in the center so that we don't see too much of that line there. So I'm just going to go ahead and tape. Actually, I might glue that one down because we've got slightly smaller little petals there that might catch on stuff. So I'm just going to glue that down. Just there. Now, what we're going to do with our little tassel is we're going to poke a hole through there. Now you need to have it fairly close to the edge because we don't have a lot of room, wriggle room there. So you could go ahead and just use a pokey tool if you want. Just do it quite close, not too close that you're going to rip it, but just close enough so that you can get that little tassel on. I've got an 1/8 of an inch punch here. So I'm just going to punch mine for... There we go. So I've got that little punch in there for my tassel. I think I've actually come down a wee bit too far, but we'll give it a try anyway. So if you've got some pliers too, just open up that little ring there. Like that. And then we're just going to pop it through our circle. Whoops. I think I have come down too far, but we'll give it a try anyway. And then you're just going to close those two pieces together again. If you have trouble with this, you can make your own little tassel if you like, or not put the tassel on at all. It's totally up to you. There we go. So there's our little tassel as well. So that is our bookmark. So that now is just going to go on this little corner here as a little gift. And there is your card. You guys have done so well. I hope, if you have trouble with this tassel, don't worry about putting it on there. You could actually just put a bit of twine through that hoop and just thread it through the hole. And you can just tie a little bow at the top if you like. So there you go, guys. There's our card for today, and I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget, don't forget to go onto our Craft Communities page and post what you've done, because we love to see what you've been doing every day. This is our card for next week here. So it folds flat like that, but it pops up and stands up like that. But it also has a little opening here, so we can just undo this twine here, and then it opens out like that. So you could put some photos in there, you could put a gift card, whatever you like. So that just folds down, that folds around again to keep it shut, and then it can stand up like that, or it can lie flat. So that's next week's card. I hope you have enjoyed today's class, and thank you so much for joining me, everybody. See you later.